Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Manjiri Nadkarni. I'm live on Facebook and I am just going live on Instagram as well. So just bear with me for a quick minute. Okay. Hello, everyone. So I'm live on Facebook and Instagram now. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we are going to talk about seven Ayurvedic herbs that work as antibiotics, right? So, the last time when I had done a similar talk, I described like five natural herbs that work as antibiotics. And somebody had a question like, why not take antibiotics when you need them, right? Why are we looking at herbs, or why should you look for herbs? Now there are interesting facts that we need to discuss before you start taking antibiotics left, right, and center, right? There is a time and need for antibiotics. I 100% believe in that. I am not anti modern medicine, but there are certain facts that I believe that you should know. And once you know these facts, you can make informed decisions as to how the best to bring back your health, right? So that's exactly what we are going to talk today. I'm gonna say a quick hi to Ushaji's here, Isha's here as well. And I have a few people on Facebook Live as well. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section. If you have any comments, I would love to learn that as well. And we are talking about seven Ayurvedic herbs that work as antibiotics. So the number one thing that I have to discuss is that there was an interesting research report that was released in 2018 known as Pew Research Report, and it showed that US is the highest antibiotic prescribing um, country amongst the other countries, as well as the other 27 European countries. And maximum antibiotics are prescribed in US, Canada, and Europe, right? Now Europe is going way more natural nowadays. Now the other thing to understand is the report also says that out of the 30% oral antibiotics that are prescribed in physicians offices or the emerge or hospital based clinics, nearly three-fourths are for acute respiratory conditions like asthma, allergies, colds, other infections which are not caused by bacteria, and therefore they do not respond to antibiotics, right? So certain conditions, if they are caused by bacteria, your body may respond to the antibiotics. But if the cause does not always lie with the bacteria, you are not going to get the benefit with antibiotics, right? The second point that I would like to make is a lot of these antibiotics come with their own side effects, right? So I will give you my own example. When I was living in India during my Ayurvedic years, or even before that, I used to have recurrent sinus infections, right? So when I started educating myself about Ayurveda, about changing my diet and lifestyle, that's when my sinus issues completely went away. But before that, I would get recurrent sinus infections, and I had tried almost all antibiotics there, and suddenly nothing was working for me. And every single year, I would show up like with these horrible sinus infections, which were really painful, really congesting, and now nothing was working, right? So that is when Ayurveda really helped me find the answers by changing the diet and lifestyle. And that is why you need to know that, okay, there are alternatives to different antibiotics as well. And sometimes if you take multiple antibiotics, they are not going to work for you, right? So sometimes certain antibiotics would have side effects. Some can create allergies or diarrhea, they can create loss of appetite, they can create um, other kidney issues or be really hard on your liver. Some other will wipe your gut bacteria, right? So when I talk about antibiotic prescription, they are like blind shooters. They're going to shoot all the bacteria and kill all the bacteria, including your good gut bacteria. And that is one of the reasons why often when you go through different courses of antibiotics, you will see that you end up with yeast infections or bladder infections, right? So that is one of the reasons, because they're killing your gut bacteria, which are protective in nature, along with the bad ones. And once your good bacteria die, now you are prone to yeast infections as well as bladder infections, right? So that is something you need to pay attention to. So Uttam ji is here, Usha ji is here. I'm gonna say a quick hi. Kamlesh is here. Amit Sharma is here. Isha is here as well. Hi Isha, nice to see you. It's been a while. So today we are discussing about antibiotics. We are going to discuss exactly, um, antibiotic resistance as well. So once you start taking different kinds of antibiotics, the bacteria can also develop resistance to the antibiotic. So the one that you were trying, now it's not working for you, so you try something else, and there are multiple drug resistant bacteria that create a lot of problem, which is also very common in hospitals, right? So gut bacteria is important, and multi drug resistant bacteria, like you're looking at staph aureus, which is globally known that it is a multi drug resistant bacteria, right? So again, these are certain causes why you should look for natural alternatives when it comes to antibiotics. Now, how are Ayurvedic herbs different than modern antibiotics? Ayurvedic herbs are different than modern antibiotics because they are not going to cause harm to your gut bacteria. That's the number one. They are not going to create dysbiosis. Second fact is most of these herbs have beneficial actions besides their antibiotic action, right? So an example is turmeric, which we are going to discuss, is also an anti-inflammatory. So if you're struggling with a lot of inflammation in your body, turmeric will help bring down that inflammation. Turmeric will also help with its anti-arthritic effect. So if you are someone who has lots of joint pain, you will find relief with joint pain once you take the turmeric, which is also antibacterial in nature, right? So these are the different ways how Ayurvedic herbs are not going to cause you a lot of harm. They're not going to deplete your good gut bacteria. They're not going to be harder on your liver, your kidneys. Typically they do not cause a lot of allergies if they are prescribed specifically to you, right? If you take them over the counter, sometimes they may not work, but when you focus on your health and start working with a practitioner who knows all about herbs, in my clinic, like out of the 7 herbs that I'm going to talk about today, I will choose very specific ones for specific conditions, right? So in such situations you are not going to struggle with any of the side effects of the herb as well, right? So let's discuss the top 7 Ayurvedic herbs that will work as antibiotics. Number one, as I described before, is turmeric, right? So turmeric is, or haridra, which is yellow in color. It's called yellow gold, yellow curry, like it is the ye- one that gives color to the curry as well as the typical flavor. It is a fantastic antibacterial as well as natural antibiotic, and turmeric you can easily consume in your daily diet, right? So if you start even cooking with turmeric, it is fantastic for you because you're getting doses of potent antibiotic activity. So if you are struggling with something like upper respiratory tract infections, you can take turmeric with warm water, or you can also take it with honey, and you can take it several times in a day, and it will really help with any kind of congestion. If you have sore throat, if you have cold or flu like symptoms, it also help with that. So that's your turmeric. It also is anti-parasitic, so if you have any parasites in your gut, it's going to help with that. It supports regulating women's menstrual cycles as well, so there is going to be no harm if you take turmeric on a regular basis, right? And as I mentioned before, it's also anti-arthritic. I'm going to say a quick hi to Devika is here as well. Nice to see you. It's been a while. So the second one is neem, right? So neem is one of my absolute favorite. And one of the things I love about neem is it is a cooling antibiotic. So if your body tends to be heated up a lot, right? Neem works very well. Neem works against a lot of fungal conditions. It works against bacterial conditions, right? So you can use it in different kind of skin conditions, whether they are bacterial or fungal in origin. So neem, again, it is a bitter tonic. It will support your liver, it will cleanse and purify your blood, and it works as a natural antibiotic. Third one is something that's given as an antidepressant or anti-anxiety in the modern holistic nutrition world. I'm sad that nobody talks about the benefits or the antibiotic benefits of this amazing plant, right? I'm talking about none other than holy basil or tulsi. So in India, when, as a child, when I used to get sick or get colds and coughs, which were very frequent because of my kapha dominant nature, my mom would always ask me to chew a few leaves of holy basil or make a decoction or a kadha made of, tulsi or holy basil, right? So tulsi or holy basil works fantastic as a natural antibiotic. It is also something that is very specific for upper respiratory tract. So if you have trouble with your sinuses, or if you have a sore throat, even for the lower respiratory tract, if you have a lot of congestion in your chest, tulsi, holy basil, if you make a decoction with the leaves and if you give it with honey, it works fantastic decongesting you, and also works to kill the excess bacteria that are causing the infection, right? Now the fourth one is something that is one of the important ayurvedic formulations used in a variety of conditions. So guggul sterones, I'm sure you must have heard of that, but guggulu, right, is something that's used for multiple reasons. It's used right from, different formulations that work with thyroid, that work with, as natural antibiotics. So there are so many formulations made with guggulu. An example is kanchanar guggulu is work used for thyroid. Triphala guggulu is something that's very specifically used as a natural antibiotic, before surgeries or after surgeries, as a pre or post operative. So Google is one of the fantastic antibiotics available there, right? So it will help also, declog your arteries. It will help with weight loss. It will help in a variety of conditions, and it has potent antibacterial antibiotic action. And this is also one of the reasons why you will see that, when we do dhupan, like in the olden days, we would take gugulu, we would take the crystals and you would burn it, right? So how you would smudge sage to purify the environment, similarly gugulu is used to purify the environment, right? So when you burn the crystals, they will emit certain antibiotic activities, and that will purify your environment as well. So number 4 is gugulu, right? So if you are joining me new, I can see a few of you have joined now. Hi Vrinda, nice to see you. So we are discussing about 7 herbs that work as antibiotics. I've discussed turmeric, I've discussed neem, holy basil, and gugulu so far. The last 3 ones are something that we use commonly in Ayurveda, as well as some you would use in your daily life. That's garlic, right? So, garlic is a fantastic antibacterial. It is something you can use in cooking. Black garlic is fermented garlic that becomes even more potent. There are various recipes, for one of my cleanses, I'd done a honey garlic recipe, which was potent antibiotic, right? So, garlic is fantastic for lowering the bacterial count. It helps lower the cholesterol, which is similar to gugulu in that aspect. It is a pungent, potent spice that will help with digestion. It will also help unclog your arteries. And there are studies done on garlic which can help in cases of multi drug resistant bacteria, right? So garlic is something you can start having in your daily life. And when it comes to its antibacterial action, raw garlic is preferred over cooked garlic, right? So raw garlic has allicin, more amounts of allicin, that works as the potent antibacterial compound present in garlic. Garlic has more such antibiotic compounds as well. But a natural antibiotic, if you're looking at getting something for your, chest infections or sinus issues, would be garlic, right? Now, the sixth one is ginger. Ginger is fantastic for any kind of digestive disorders. It is fantastic for nausea. And if you have a lot of gut dysbiosis, ginger will help you, as will garlic, right? Garlic, going back to it, when we talk about small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, garlic is one of the most potent herbs that are used in the treatment of SIBO. Ginger is fantastic for anything that's upper GIT from my perspective. So, ginger works really well too. So, including ginger in your diet, ginger tea, with your meals, it's going to aid the digestion, but it's also going to work extremely well as an antibiotic. And the seventh one, I'm not sure a lot of you have heard about it, but that is triphala. So, triphala is not a single herb, but it is a combination of three herbs. And triphala is also used, for laxative action, but in fact, it is also a potent antibiotic, right? Especially triphala gugul or even sukshma triphala, they can be used in cases of bacteria, and they are seen to efficiently work against bacteria. Triphala also has a really high um, antioxidant activity because of amla berry and haritaki, which are potent antioxidants, right? So these are the seven herbs that you can use as antibiotic. I'm going to talk about a bonus herb because I cannot complete my talk without talking about this, and that's giloy, right? So giloy or guduchi, again, it's very popular in the names of guduchi ghanvati or sanshamni vati, and it works fantastic for any kind of bacterial conditions. If you are struggling with certain conditions like fever, which shows that there is higher count of bacteria, your immune system is fighting something, guruchi or giloy works fantastic. There are studies done on guruchi also in respect to the COVID-19 pandemic, and it has seemed to be beneficial and worked extremely well in such conditions. So guruchi or giloy is the eighth one, right? I was going to talk about seven, I ended up talking about eight. One other thing that is extremely potent, right? So if you are struggling with any kind of bacterial conditions, we talk about it as the vehicle, right? So in Ayurveda, we use the word anupan. Anupan is something that you will give with the herb that will potentiate the action of the herb. So one thing that, that's commonly used is warm water, but adding honey, right, to your protocol will help potentiate the action of the herb even further. So if you are struggling with any kind of bacterial conditions, or if you are trying to take these herbs to support your immunity, especially in the cold flu seasons, like fall, it is beneficial to take these herbs with honey, not in the summer condition, because summer it's really hot outside and honey is going to be warming to the body. But for fall, definitely you can start taking these herbs with honey, right? So that is my talk for today. Today we are discussing about, seven herbs that work extremely efficient as antibiotics. We have discussed about turmeric, we have talked about neem, holy basil, we've talked about gugul, we've talked about garlic, ginger, giloy, guduchi, as well as triphala, right? So these are extremely potent as antibiotics. If you have any questions, please write those in the comments and I'll be more than happy to answer. So I'm just going to go back and look at any of the questions. Devika, nice to see you. Yeah, Google smells extremely nice, Isha. Yeah. What is the best anupan for Google powder, or is it better taken as a formulation? Uh, the easiest anupan, if you're not sure what condition is it, hot water or warm water, right? So warm water is like the universal anupan or universal, vehicle to help with any herbs that you're taking. If you're not sure, or if you have not been asked to take herbs with anything specific, usually it is hot water or warm water. Now, Isha, it would depend on the condition. If there are specific conditions you're using Google for, it is better taken as a formulation. Like for an example is, if you're specifically focusing on thyroid, Kanchanar Google is going to work much better than a plain Google powder, right? So that's the best thing. Vrinda's asking how to consume Triphala powder and what time of the day. That's a very good question. So Triphala, if you are using it for its laxative action, then you'll take it at night time with hot water. If you are looking at it for an antibiotic action, when you have a lot of bacterial um, count in the body, or if you have fever, or if you have a lot of symptoms right now, you will have to take it few times a day, right? So you can take it at least 3 times a day with hot water. You can also consume the powder with honey, right? So consuming, mixing the powder with honey, and then having a little bit of warm water after you consume the powder is going to help you. We don't mix honey with anything hot typically, but you can have it after you consume the powder, right, with honey. So, as an antibiotic, you will have to take it several times in the day. If you take Triphala for its rasayan or antioxidant effect, you have to take it first thing in the morning. So, again, this would depend on what action are you looking at. So that's all for today. So today is the talk that we were talking about antibiotics. I have a free webinar coming up that is specifically for practitioners of Ayurveda, natural medicine, any holistic practitioners. We are going to discuss going beyond macros, right? So often in our dietary plans, we focus on macronutrients like carbs, or you're looking at, proteins or fats. And often a lot of dietary plans are given based on these macronutrients. But you have to think beyond the macros to be able to get benefits for your health and for your clients. So I'll be posting the link in Facebook. If you are a practitioner, feel free to join. This is a practitioner level webinar. If you are someone who's, a practitioner, I'm most welcome. If you are there for your information, that's perfectly fine, but it may be a little bit heavier for you. And if you have any questions or something, feel free to get in touch with me and we can discuss about your health. So thank you for watching. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you soon next week. Thanks.